Welcome back to the start of me participating in BIONICNQ / Ronin's challenge, the 30 trade day challenge. If you are curious and want to attempt this for yourself, these are the rules. Oh, fuck. Wait, hold up. Give me a minute. These are the rules right here. If you guys are curious, just screenshot right here. And you guys can compete against me and see whose ROI is better. I will only be counting the trades I took on XFA due to that being my most strict and serious trading. Now, going over the key points from today is that I did go break even, a valid one at that. And today is a good narrative building exercise if you had trouble developing your bias. Now, starting on the high, I don't know why my shit's lagging, bro. It's low-key pissing me off, but whatever. All right, starting on the high time frame. Quick analysis, we see that we are delivering from this 4-hour imbalance up here, going from internal to these external range lows inside these 4-hour bear unmitigated PDA with previous day low and previous week low below to finish off. We also see we are creating a new sell side imbalance with lots of LR sitting above at this mitigated 4-hour. Now, scaling down to the hourly, what do we see? We see that currently in the pre-market, we are sitting in a bearish gap, delivering from the 4-hour gap, sitting in perfectly, respecting the gap's consequential encroachment. So this is a good example of one condition to see where our draw is. Now, finally, we are now scaling all the way down, and let me mark this gap. It's going to be a very important condition. God. Okay. Now, in the 50-minute, what do we see? Oh my God, what the fucky? There you go. Okay. The 50-minute, I had this gap marked out. That serves as, honestly, my main condition to see how we react from this. Now, let's go to the 30-second, because that was the time frame the first trade was on. This is an 8+ trade right here. The only reason I didn't take on XFAs is because I don't take 30 seconds on XFAs, but you see the gap is right here, and this is the inversion. Okay. Let's cover this trade really quick. Okay, now getting into the executional side of things, what does market do when we open? We respect the 1-hour and dump right into the 15-minute, respecting the CE of the gap. And we also make a 5-minute gap above. So what does this mean? That if we are bearish, we should tap into the internal range and displace to the external range low draw. And if we are truly bullish with this 50-minute, we will rip right through the 5-minute. So here, this gap is an agreed upon key level that no matter what your bias is, we should still sweep this low. So this was my main target. And my break-even level with this long was the 5-minute at this 30-second inversion, which we then took full TP. And yeah, super A+ trade, amazing trade. I only took on if there was a 5-minute, 1-minute, 2-minute, 3-minute inversion, I would have taken out my XFAs, but since it was a 30-second, there's just a lot of high frequency. So I just want more practice in with that. Next trade was in the 2-minute time frame. So what happens? I'm gonna mark out the 5-minute gap because that's where we're gonna be trading off of right now. Why am I lagging, homie? It's actually pissing me off. This is a 5-minute gap. So what happens? Now, when we hit full TP of this trade, I'm looking at this, and this was another condition, right? This is a 5-minute condition. With that, we tap into this 5-minute, which was our target. But it is also it's a sponsored gap by the 1-hour gap that we are respecting and delivering from to reach this 4-hour draw below. So what does this mean? A premium bearish gap is getting respected, and our discounted bullish gap is failing to distribute through this low time frame premium gap. So what? This bearish gap, not only is it low time frame, but it also has a disadvantage of it being premium. Now, with this 15-minute gap right here, it is discounted and it is a high time frame gap, and it has all the advantages, and we are still failing to distribute. And with the gap that has all the disadvantages, we are respecting perfectly CE. What does this tell us? we are obviously going to be more bearish because this gap shouldn't be holding if we are truly bullish. So with that, we tap into the 5 minute, which is sponsored by the 1 hour gap, respecting and delivering to reach this 4 hour obvious draw below, which is now my confirmed draw to the reaction, and the story price is telling us as a result from the condition I set prematurely to market open. Then we open this 2 minute gap right here. I'm waiting. This is another A++++ setup forming. However, unfortunately, the candle absolutely rapes my RR and takes the internal low, making this setup completely invalid. However, since the draw was so fucking obvious after this, I still took a position on here and just put it on eval. Hit full TP. Now, going into the 1 minute. This was the trade that I took on my XFAs and went break even on. So what happened? You guys see how you can trade the draw? Even if like mechanically these trades aren't like A++ like the one I just showed. If you just understand narrative and liquidity, you'll be fine. Like I'm taking these on evals because I trade my XFA super seriously, but if you just understand where price is going, you're chilling. Okay, now finally, we see that after we sweep this 4 hour key level and at the 10 a.m. macro, we are just accumulating and not displacing or manipulating anywhere, leading me to believe that we are just generating targets. However, I do want to mention that after making so many imbalances, creating such high quality setups, and having great delivery, this must be taken into consideration with anything that forms after, due to it being less likely to deliver or to have still good price action. Now, I accepted this risk. Now, after I still form my idea as we get a stop hunt into the 15-minute, 10-15 PO3, creating a 50-minute imbalance above with another 5-minute above both being unmitigated, which is another agreed upon key level or a mech if you are familiar with that model. So I'm expecting for this PO3 or even the 1030 PO3 to deliver us to my target. However, after taking this 1 minute inversion, and I see how shit we are displacing and delivering with the conditions we are currently in, I decide to put my break-even point at this very low time frame internal high, rather than a more valid reversal point, as I wanted a safer trade so I could go break even regardless. So what happens? We go break even, and after we go break even here, and we get stopped out on the same candle. However, what happens after? We tap into this to the 15-minute right here, and even then we still would have went break even. The trade doesn't reach that 1-to-1. So it is just a loss that I completely avoided by knowing reversal points, conditions, and break even. So yeah, the trade would have lost if you would have held. So all in all, super good trade, break even, and just understanding liquidity. This was the trade I took on my XFAs. If you are curious on my checklist and how I journaled today, here's my journal entry for this day. I will show it right after saying this. Yeah, while these other two trade ideas were super A++, this trade idea wasn't the most A+ narrative-wise. It was just the best mechanically and to what price was telling me. Regardless, still very good, even very good narrative-wise. It was just a little later into session, and unfortunately, we already created a lot of high-quality setups. It's a Friday, conditions, just understanding conditions. Here's my checklist, Nick. So yeah, this is covering only the XFA trade. This is my thought process and how I journal. Every single one of my trades on the checklist I take. Yeah, this is it. My conviction was a 7 out of 10. This is the trade. Perfect day, perfect performance. 7 8.